All right, everybody, I've got 6:30. We're going to call the regular meeting of the Common Council to order. We'll start with roll call, please.
Steve,
Here.
Seth,
Here.
Andrew,
Here.
Todd Kirking,
Here.
Emma, here, Todd Spade,
Here.
Cindy, here, John,
Here.
Crystal, here.
All right, we'll do Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2, approval of the June 10th, 2025 regular council minutes.
This is Crystal, and I would move approval of the minutes from June 10th with no additions or corrections.
Todd, I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item number 3, council announcements. Any member of the council? Cindy.
Yeah, a reminder to the council and the public that tomorrow at 5 here is the public meeting for the Center Avenue project. So you can learn what that's all about. So please come if you're able.
Thanks, Cindy. Anybody else have anything? Seth?
As this is my first June meeting as a member or council member, I had an issue brought up to me from a constituent concerned about the Dregneys property being mowed. I don't know if that's an off-topic subject. We
Yeah,
can discuss
we'll come
at a
back.
later time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the first period for public comment. I know we've got some folks from the public in the house tonight, so we'll open that up. You'll come up to the podium there. There's a microphone. When you get up there, press the little person. The light should turn green like this. Please state your name, your address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Based on the volume of folks we might have speaking, we'll be sticking to that pretty tight tonight. So whoever would like to go first, by all means.
Hi, my name is Marcy Jones, and I live here in town at 727 Garfield Avenue. I know there are a lot of families here that have not been residents of the local community for a long time. My 2 daughters went to kindergarten here, and they graduated from high school here, and they never went anywhere in between. They still actually live here in town, and they love the Dragon Park. But I just want to remind some people that the newer families don't remember is that we have to close Liberty Pole. It's what we have to do for the sake of all the kids. We want the cafetorium at the elementary school. Well, they got their cafetorium. And after a few years, we really hate this cafetorium. We just hate it. Well, strike 1. Kids got punished by not having their Liberty Pole school anymore, and they got in an area, an atmosphere that the teachers didn't like and stuff. So then we have the swimming pool money that came to us from the Bigley estate. Did you know that there are families that were born and raised in this town that go to Sparta and Westby and Richland Center because they want a summer outside pool experience? My daughter tried renting the pool for a birthday party this week. 2 hours, 1 little table to put cupcakes on, $300. Strike 2 against the kids. We don't have an outdoor pool anymore like they grew up loving. Now, I told my grandson, I have a meeting to go to tonight. He said, what's that for, Grandma? I said, well, it's about the Dragon Park, buddy. He said, oh, are they putting new things in? I said, no, buddy, they're going to tear it down. They want to tear it down. He's 7. Can you show me a picture what it's going to be? Grandma, that doesn't look fun at all. Don't let this be strike 3. Because every time the people that know what they need to do get their way, it's the kids that pay the price. Just think about that, please.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Ellie Borman, S6459 Black River Road in Viroqua, Liberty Pole. I've lived here 20 years and my kids have played at the Eckerd Park and now my grandkids play at the Eckerd Park. And I realize that it is kind of fallen apart in a way because the people that started it, you know, their kids are all grown. New isn't necessarily always, you know, the best. I'm a little concerned that if the trees, I missed the meeting on the 11th and I apologize for that, but the trees going is concerning. And I guess that's, you know, it would be sad to lose the Dragon Park. I mean, the ambiance of it. When we moved here, we drove through and that was the first thing as we drove through Viroqua. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the entire world. And my children spent many, many an hour there. And I take my grandkids there now. I hope it can be where it's still very welcoming, like the old Dragon Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Shanoa Lockington. That was my mom. I've grown up playing at the Dragon Park and it's important to the community. So I wanted to volunteer to paint the new dragon, like and paint it so it can be included in the new like design. And I just wanted to like volunteer so that it could still be the Dragon Park, even though it won't be the same as when we were kids. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Looks like this is still on. My name's Emlyn Jones. I live in town, actually right across from the Dragon Park. I've got 4 kids and they love the Dragon Park. Yeah, just been hearing a lot about it and I appreciate all the thought that everyone is putting into it. It does need love. So yeah, I'm come here to express my thoughts on here. I would really, anything that does happen in the Dragon Park, I'd like to see something very similar. If it was to be replaced, go up in its place. The design I saw presented, I don't feel like represents the community at large. I know there's probably some differing opinions in that, understandably, but it seems like at large, from what I'm hearing, the way I feel, the people I've talked to in the community don't feel like the current design plans are reflective of what we would like to see. It's really popular, iconic. The Dragon Park, it's known as the Dragon Park, even though it's Eckerd Park. So I'm also a certified arborist, and the trees that are in that space I see as super valuable. You don't just grow trees like that back quickly at all. There's some risk that I could see those trees do have, and as an arborist, that those can be addressed. There's definitely things I'd be happy to talk to anyone about that and solutions for that. I'd volunteer time that I wouldn't even charge just because I would hate to see those trees go. So yeah, just more of a conversation around saving those trees and the value they bring to the park. I mean, those trees are probably 100 years old or something. But I might be getting close to my 3 minutes. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track. But yeah, whoever's out there in charge of those trees, yeah, you probably know who I am, Emlyn from Tree Loving Care. But yeah, I'd like to talk more about that. I help out if I can. So thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Gregory Splinter on West Decker, right across from the park. Emlyn has done some great work for us on our house. He's the real tree guy. I would like to offer continued support for what's been said already. that the park, it needs some love for sure. But this could be an opportunity to make it even a richer design. We can be playful. I mean, where a post is rotting out, what would happen if we found some troll heads to attach them? Weird, wonderful, creative solutions, thinking it as another layer of artistry onto the park, and take a more surgical approach, maybe even a hybrid approach to take out what really isn't working, and we have to have accessibility and that sort of thing, but to pull it out from its roots like it's a weed, and then planting new something doesn't seem to be in fit with the community. Does anybody know that on the equinox, those dragons light up? The sun comes up at exactly the right time. There's a couple of days when the dragon is on fire. And whether that was by accident or by design, it really lends itself to the imagination of that place. Kids can pretend to be a fireman. They could pretend to be a policeman. They can play tic-tac-toe. They could pretend to be an astronaut. It engages their way beyond the physicality. It engages their minds, their imaginations in a way that they're probably not even aware of themselves. But I think on some sort of subconscious level, the richness of that park as it is plays, and I'll use that word, plays with the kids in ways that the designs that were shown it does not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Monica Matos, and I have lived in Viroqua for about a year and a half. One of the reasons that Viroqua appealed to me was its trailblazing reputation. Viroqua has made national headlines for challenging norms, reinventing itself to survive the arrival of big box retailers, as well as for elevating local, sustainable, and innovative practices in businesses and education. Most notably are the Food Enterprise Center, Organic Valley, Pleasant Ridge, and the Main Street Initiative. It's truly a unique culture, and the necessary rebirth of Dragon Park is a valuable opportunity to maintain that distinction. More importantly, this isn't just about new playground equipment. I don't know why this is so emotional. It's about a space that holds our children as they grow and develop into future stewards and leaders. This project, while it clearly involves political and economic aspects, is primarily a community matter. When surveyed, residents didn't say they wanted shiny new equipment or whatever is trending. They said they wanted trees, unique design, wood, not plastic, and spaces that capture the imagination. When asked about themes for the new park, the top answers included holding on to the dragon and the natural woodland feel. That's a call for something that's alive with heart and soul. The proposed design, while very well intentioned, is clearly the product of a process focused on political and economic considerations, acquisition, safety codes, timelines, and vendors. Those things matter a great deal, but they should not lead. Not if you want the end result to enhance Viroqua's culture. Let's shift this project back into the hands of the community, where it was 30 years ago when residents rolled up their sleeves under the direction of Leather and Associates. If local artists, educators, and families are inspired and motivated to shape the park's character to more accurately reflect the community's culture, why not create the opportunity for them to do that? Doing so would actually relieve the city of responsibility for the aesthetic decisions to focus on accessibility, safety, and code compliance. Collaborating more comprehensively with interested and willing residents would deepen community ownership and reduce the risk of public dissatisfaction. I greatly appreciate the significant time and effort that has already been invested, and I don't want to see that go to waste. So I sincerely and respectfully request that you consider reimagining this collaborative process. A community-led design team could channel their passion and creativity into envisioning the design. The city's role would be to support and guide the process by pausing the current process to redistribute responsibilities, provide clear safety and accessibility requirements, allocating the majority of the budget to local artists, builders, and natural elements with a portion put towards specialty accessibility equipment. Facilitating collaboration between the design committee and implementation team. We have a chance to recreate Dragon Park in ways that transcend simply being new and safe. We can ensure that it remains authentically Viroqua. Just as visitors travel here to experience the artisan cuisine of the Driftless Cafe, a redesigned park that is built by local artists and craftsmen would be a powerful way to increase tourism, support local makers, and boost sales for small businesses. Ultimately, this is an opportunity for Viroqua to demonstrate its tagline of growing forward and advance its trailblazing initiative. Collaborative governance can attract investment, strengthen trust, and ensure better long-term stewardship. It will also result in a park that is not only safe and inclusive, but one that will capture the hearts and minds of all who experience it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Krista Brown. I live at 703 Connor Street in Viroqua. I'm going to speak kind of in tandem with my husband, who's going to come up next. And Nate is distributing what I'm going to read from, and it's lengthy. So I'm just reading the front, and we're sending this and assembled this so that you can take it. So this is an open letter to Common Council regarding the Eckhart Park Playground project and planning process. This is from myself and Michael through our works for the future of Eckhart Park and Playground with our work that is known as an Open Mind Lab. We are writing this open letter to the members of City Council, the Mayor of City of Viroqua, the City Administrator, the Parks and Rec Committee, the Park and Playground Subcommittee, and out of respect for the allotted time for this meeting tonight, the full list of items of all the other things you all are working on, we want to, we know that your time is precious, and we know that prior to your attendance here, you likely worked other jobs today and have commitments after this. And perhaps you are also even missing dinner and bedtime with your loved ones to be here. So we thank you and see that service and time that you're giving. So rather than take a large portion of this meeting to express our thoughts and findings about this playground project and process and our concerns that this active and seemingly urgent topic is absent from tonight's agenda, we are submitting this document directly to you and hopefully into the meeting minutes today. It includes this letter also and information and findings from a website we built and a poll we created after the public meeting that was held on June 11th, 2025. In order to inform the residents, gather responses and feedback from them, and present clear findings to you. The purpose of the website and poll was to gather it all in one place, all of the information that has happened over the years around this park, and for residents to have a path to provide their feedback about the current playground plans and the process. The poll also directly asks the public to share their desire and preferred methods to be involved in the future of Eckhart Park and Playground going forward. To be clear, it is not the intention of these documents, nor of myself or my husband, to put forth our personal opinions at this meeting at this time. It is also not our job at this time to prescribe the right solution, nor is it our intention to add any additional confusion, frustration, or harm to this public process or the project execution. Rather, we have stepped forward in service to bolster your efforts as the city, create transparency, engage with residents in a way that they are asking you to be involved, and to move everyone toward a better solution. We are helping to fully inform, involve, and listen to residents and park users. This document presents their voices and desires to offer involvement and support to all of you. Through doing this listening and engagement and evaluating the findings, it is absolutely clear that residents do not like the current plans you are offering, and they want you to pause and reassess, and they want to be involved. You have a duty in your job to reassess and redirect this path forward, to fully embrace better planning, design process, and to lead to a well-built solution. It is your duty in your roles. Let's please work together, starting right now, to serve our community members and the park and playground users to support a design and construction of a park and, even more importantly, a place. This is not a playground, this is a place, and it is the only place left in our community for the most vulnerable. Children, families, especially people who cannot pay to go to Magpies and Wonder State and the vibes of Viroqua that bring tourists in. This is the last resource with community dollars that is left. We have to steward this process. This is one that pulls us all together in the heart of our community, and it must fully represent our cultural history and our vision for the future. Thank you for all the service you are doing and any further consideration of what you're holding on to. And I'm going to turn it over to Michael and we'll pick it up from there. We'll be quick.
Hello, I'm Michael Brown, 703 Connor Street, father of 3 children. I'm also the guy that wrote the grant that brought in $50,000 of T-Mobile money to improve our park navigation, maps, and directionals. I just want to reiterate, I am not here to share my specific opinion on what I think of the park. I am here to steward forward the message to show you that the spirit that built the original Dragon Park is still here in this town, alive and well. And it is ready to be engaged if we allow it to be so. To that end, we built this very simple survey, 3 questions, and we distributed over the past 4 days. Number 1, are you satisfied with the current plans? Number 2, should City Council pause and reassess this plan? And number 3, join in whatever capacity you have. How would you like to be involved? I laid this out in clear, hopefully clear format that everybody can read. Of the 186 responses that we got, and they're still rolling in, but we cut it off at 2 p.m. so I could have time to build this thing out. 74% of respondents say they are dissatisfied with the current plans, and 80% say they want to pause and reassess the plan. These flyers, notifications were distributed at the farmers market, at Dairy Days, at various locations around town. And we also built a Facebook group called the Future of Eckhart Park and Playground. And we reposted that to Viroqua area folks. And really the intention here was to consolidate this stuff and bring it forward, because Viroqua area folk is not a place that anybody needs to be mining information from. It's not easy to extract. It is just like Facebook itself, it's kind of a dumpster fire. So, but it is a great way to reach people and get them to engage in something. So 186 responses. You'll see a lot of the similar findings in this survey results as the original survey that came back in the fall of 24. The community is saying they want trees and shade. There are 40 mentions. No plastic, 25 mentions. Keep the dragon, 20 mentions. Lack of imagination, 30 mentions. Better process, 35 mentions. Viroqua values, 15 mentions. I've got over 100 people that want to be engaged and involved through email updates. I've got 64 people that want to show up to meetings. 40 people are saying, no, thank you. 38 people are saying volunteer their time, and 18 people are saying donate money. And some of the key quotes revolve around process concerns, creative solutions, and community vision. Every single comment that someone wrote into a box is listed out in 5 pages of commentary, all ready for you to receive. I'll continue to distribute this if you guys need to see it in digital format. But everyone should have a copy right now. Please embrace these results today and fold them into the future planning process tomorrow. Please reassess the current path for planning the playground and make the table bigger to include residents who are stepping forward, and consider folding the playground solution into the planning and programming work for the park plan and comprehensive plan overall. Please see the engagement and passion displayed by the public as their love of this playground in place, and give it the weight it deserves as a key component and feature of all other planning efforts: comprehensive planning, parks and recreation planning, transportation, bike, pedestrian, housing, waste management, all of it. The future path and plan must be reanalyzed for inclusivity, properly resourced, wholly transparent, and accessible to the most vulnerable residents and users, the families. This park is an important asset and tool to the ability for families to thrive. We owe it to them to provide a good solution and to continue to work toward integrating this playground into the future plans for public places that exist between our workplaces and our homes. These are our community values, and this council needs to honor them as a guiding principle. Please choose community, choose inclusion, and choose the process our future deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Yep, anybody online?
We got quite a few people online. If anybody online would like to make a public comment, they can unmute themselves and speak now. Looks like you're good, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're moving on to item number 5, presentation by Viroqua Chamber, RE Chamber and Tourism Activities.
Hello, members of the council. Mayor. Mr. Administrator,
Hey.
my name is Aaron Aslan. I am the current interim executive director of the Viroqua Chamber. It is a real pleasure and honor to be with you tonight and provide you an update on the Viroqua Chamber, as well as an update on the Viroqua Chamber's role in the Tourism Commission. So I prepared a series of slides to take you through what should be a high-level summary of what the Viroqua Chamber is up to and how we're partnering with you, our city, with the money that you provide us every year to continue to build a stronger community. Go ahead, Nate. Okay, a little bit about the Chamber. We've been around for a long time, 35 years. Founded in 1989. I asked most citizens, I don't think they could repeat our mission, but our mission is about enhancing the quality of life in Viroqua through leadership, facilitation, and collaboration. So we're a partner that helps bring people together around the table to get things done. We have over 150 active members, 12 chamber events. What?
Oh, go ahead. You're good.
Sorry. 8 chamber programs, 2 staff members. I'm joined tonight by our president, Nikki Steele, our vice president, Trina Erickson, and our new executive director, I'm very excited to introduce you to, Allison Cervais, who started yesterday. I did her the favor of not having her present this today, so could have hazed her a little bit. That would have been more fun, but here I am. I'm going to take you through next the 12 chamber events and 8 chamber programs. One way to think about these are events and programs that would either have to be rehomed or given up completely if the chamber stopped operating. In other words, it's what we do with the funds that this body gives us. It's what we do with the funds that our membership gives us and that from our different revenue streams. So let's click in and dive into our events. Are we still losing? Yeah.
Tell a joke.
I have a joke ready. I had a lot more hair when I started this job. Wasn't sure if I was ready to bust that out tonight, but hey, it came. Okay, well, welcome to our small and mighty team. So we have 2 people that run the operation of the chamber. So Allison is our full-time executive director, and we feel really lucky and privileged to have Allison join us. She comes from Coon Valley. Now, before Viroqua baseball freaks out, you know, her dad is a service, so lots of good baseball history here. Also, her dad was a coach here in Viroqua. She's a native of Coon Valley, has over a decade in nonprofit experience, leadership, education, and community engagement. She most recently was on the International Relations Education Coordinator position for the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic team, or committee, excuse me, managing global programming and international leadership development. Could not think of a more complex body of politics to be involved in that make her well suited to handle the Viroqua Chamber. Prior to that, she spent several years at Gunderson Medical Foundation in La Crosse, where she was leading fundraising efforts. She holds a master's degree in organizational leadership from St. Mary's in Minnesota, and a bachelor's in sports management and sociology from UW La Crosse. She also proudly and confidently says she was the best member of her softball team. So we're lucky to have her. Alongside her is Angie. She's another one of our staff members here and has really held the integrity of the chamber through our leadership transitions. We're very grateful for her role here. We have currently 10 members on our board. We have 11 spots in total. You can see them all listed here. And we'll click through. Okay, so we have 12 chamber events. Again, if the chamber were not to be operating, these events would have to be rehomed or they would stop altogether. And a lot of these are beloved events that help bring people together in the community. They strengthen the connections between the community as a place people can come together, and they support our local economy. Many of these events help get people downtown and supporting our businesses. So the chamber runs the 26-week farmers market It runs through May through October. It's our biggest program and event. We host Twinkle Fest Parade, many of which you attend. The Community Trick or Treat, a beloved trick or treat event that we host annually that brings people out around Halloween. The Chamber Bash, I've seen many of you there. Wine Walk, Beer Walk, Soup, network meetings, Shop Small Saturday, sidewalk sales. All of these are events helping drive our community put on by the Chamber. Next, Nate, on our programs, we have 8 programs. These programs are designed for supporting our small businesses, beautifying our community in downtown, and bringing thousands of tourists to Viroqua. We host our small business ribbon cuttings. We host the Downtown Flower Basket program, those beautiful flower baskets provided by Hardy Vines that you see on our new Main Street poles. The monthly community window, the Viroqua Bucks program, which is a gift card program that is redeemable at local Viroqua businesses. And just as a perspective, we have $8,000 in that account that's currently outstanding to go directly back into the community. And we're about to process another $12,000. It'll bring up to about $20,000 of local money flowing right back into our community businesses, which feels really great. We also work with the Viroqua, Visit Viroqua Tourism marketing campaign, tourism event grant that I'll tell you more about like in a little bit, See Viroqua, and then our Main Street community, which was mentioned earlier today. Our total budget is $229,000 in revenues. When you compare this to other chambers, we actually are really lucky to have such a robust budget in this community. I'd say most communities of this size would not see such a strong financial position, which is really made up of 3 key pillars. We have membership, that is businesses that pay to be a member and get support from the chamber. We host events, and the profit off those events help drive our revenues. And then the tourism room tax dollars come in and we help steward and manage those room tax dollars. So we have 3 strong and well-balanced revenue streams. We use that for staffing and labor, as our staff is also the people who host and put on all of our events, lead our marketing, and do most of the work. Tourism marketing direct spend, which includes media buying, events and programs, so the direct cost of putting on events, operating expenses, operating our website, operating our facility, covering our insurance, et cetera. And then communications, helping people know what's going on around here. We usually try to run a surplus. We've been running a surplus for the last couple of years, which really ensures that we have a strong balance sheet. Our current cash position is about $100,000. A lot of this is ready for the chamber to be used as a tool for driving investment in our small business community, in economic development, and helping keep Viroqua strong. And we really appreciate all the support that we've received. So what does Viroqua get for the money it spends? This body approves annually an investment in the chamber. And without it, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we're very grateful for that commitment. With it, in 2024, we were able to see over 31,937 event attendees coming to Viroqua. These make up both locals and tourists alike. Many of these event attendees will go shop locally, stay locally, and find out what makes Viroqua special. 5 businesses were open, 2 businesses expanded, 14 jobs added downtown, 26 markets hosted, over $2,150 raised by the community for SOUP projects, which is a local community grant funding program. Over 1,000 Instagram followers added. We have over 7,500 on our social media accounts, which we use to help amplify the news from the city, amplify the news from our businesses, and help keep people informed and connected. Over 4.5 million online impressions. These go out to our tourism audience in the cities and in local communities around here. And all of it really helps to create that feeling that so many people talk about of a thriving city where we get to live, people want to work, and they really enjoy staying here. It's a place that many people are proud to call home. Okay, that's a little bit about the chamber. So thank you very much for your continued support in strengthening the Viroqua economy. Thank you for helping build this sense of place and community pride.
So before we transition into the tourism aspect, is there any clarifying questions that the council would have for Aaron at this time? All right, sounds like you covered it. On to tourism?
On to tourism, yes. The Viroqua Chamber holds a memorandum of understanding with the Tourism Commission as we provide multiple services for this body. So if you click through, Nate, what we do for the Tourism Commission. First, we're the financial administrator for the room tax dollars. What this means is we write those checks and distribute those checks out to the vendors and service providers that are supporting the work of the Tourism Commission. We don't unilaterally allocate funds. The Tourism Commission does. And we work with the Tourism Commission on spending those funds and making recommendations on where and how to spend. The Tourism Event Grant Administration is about managing, promoting, educating, and distributing all the event grants to different community members who might want to participate in this neat program that the Tourism Commission puts on, which I'll talk about here shortly. We lead a tourism marketing campaign, providing management and oversight of an agency that helps put this out into the community, where there is online advertising, print advertising, radio advertising, all seeking to bring people to Viroqua to stay in our numerous properties, both hotels and short-term rental properties, which help bolster our room tax base. Without telling people about Viroqua, they might find out about it. But when we, as the leader of Vernon County and also as one of the anchors in the Drift List, help communicate about all the wonderful things happening here, we see a lot of people learning about us and deciding to add us to their itinerary, which is great. Tourism, we manage the tourism website and customer service. We get all the calls. Where do you fish? Where do you drive that ATV? What do you do in the wintertime? It's great. And that's one of our roles, and we really gladly fill it. And then finally, when the Viroqua Welcome Center opens, something this body is well aware of, we will be the operational lead, and the chamber will have its home there. So we'll be the facilities manager, essentially, making sure everything's working. Okay. So next, y'all should feel really great. This is just really a reflection of the tourism industry in Viroqua here and showing healthy growth. What you're looking at is a trending graph. The straight line is the trend. The other line is actuals in terms of the room tax collections. These are gross room tax collections, including the amount the city collects. The city adds, I believe, Nate, to its general fund, 30% of all room tax collected. So the more we do well in room tax, the more the Tourism Commission benefits and the more the city benefits in terms of its overall financial impact. And you can see clearly that there's been an upward trend. Shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. The key point is that when we do have momentum, our responsibility is to keep momentum. So a lot of our work is to ensure that we do have momentum going forward. The most important strategy to really incrementally increase room tax would be considering adding capacity. So as we find those summer peaks, we start to reach our capacity limit and we can't find any more room tax because everyone's full. So by adding additional hotel and short-term stay capacity to the area, that would be the next biggest strategy lever to bring in more room tax. In the sources and uses here, this is the budget for the Tourism Commission in terms of its income, its expenditures, and then an actual year to date. These aren't meant to make sense. We're not timing them correctly. So it's just the budget for the year and then what we've spent year to date. For the year, our budget was $123,781. We carried over $28,000 from retained earnings and had a room tax forecast of $95,000. Our expenditures make up $45,000 in marketing and advertising spend, $39,500 in chamber operating costs, which include chamber labor costs for running and putting on programs and events, managing the marketing agency work, managing a lot of the website operations and the tourism operations, the website costs, and the farmers market personnel cost. The tourism event grant is a direct grant, $20,000 just distributed directly out to the tourism recipients, and then nothing currently for the operating cost. Year to date, we're running pretty strongly aligned to our forecast. Retained earnings are still where they are in terms of our cash on our balance sheet and our checking account. Room tax dollars have come in at $33,459 or 35%. We're expecting to see our biggest room tax payments come in for Q2 and Q3. And then you can see the rest of the expenses here. Okay, so this is just a sneak peek of what our marketing campaign looks like. Hope many of you have seen this on the website, Facebook, Instagram. We are running ads. The neatest part about this as a marketer is the amount of engagement we get from our community, getting on these ads, liking them and commenting on them. It's really great to see that. And what that does is boost the ads organically, gives us a lot more efficient spend, and they go out towards a broader audience. You can see right away that the events are the #1 performing ad unit we run. They're also, fun enough, events are our first site when you reach the chamber website. It's not even our homepage, it's the event page that people want to know. So what that tells you is people really come to Viroqua because there's things going on. And they want to do things when they come here. The second most popular is eating and drinking, then the farmers market, and then we're running an outdoor campaign as well. This is our summer suite. We are going to be adjusting this as we move into the fall and winter. We're going to be focusing on retail, on shopping downtown, and on winter activities as we seek to drive heads and beds during the winter hours or winter period. Okay. Next, so relatively new to the Tourism Commission is an event grant. The event grant objective, I should say, is to increase overnight stays. This event was dreamed up by the previous leader of the chamber, Chris, and with a partnership with the Tourism Commission to turn over the responsibility of marketing Viroqua to events that want to bring people here. The event itself, or the event grant itself, is to support local organizations in hosting impactful events. Maximize the return on investment by attracting repeat visitors and extended stays, encouraging tourism during the off-season, providing equitable funding opportunities for all eligible applicants, and supporting the launch of new events and the expansion of proven successful events. So you might notice and recognize some of these events that have received this funding. Rivers to Ridges, the large program that the library puts on, brings in quite a few tourists to the area. Fourth Stream running live in Viroqua, it's Music on Court, Driftless Music Festival. Winding Roads Art Tour, Thorough College, they do the Shakespeare Festival, Wild West Days, Little Ray of Hope, and the Balloon Festival, which is just around the corner from us, Viroqua Pride, which just happened. We have currently outstanding $2,435 that we'll be carrying into the back half of the year. And just to let this commission know, we've decided to break this into two windows. We'll do a winter grant and a summer grant because we're really striving to get people here in the wintertime. So it's been a very successful program. We anticipate continuing to invest in this, the Tourism Commission, as we do see a lot of applicants and a lot of success with the events that do happen. Let's go ahead and click through. And then finally, this is the Viroqua Welcome Center. This will be our home to the chamber. It'll also be the first physical anchoring property for tourism here in Viroqua. I know there's a lot of work and a lot of collaboration that got us to this point. We're very excited to see the work being done today. It looks really great to watch the team out there scrubbing the walls and getting it ready. So we couldn't be more thrilled to take on occupancy of this opening in 2026. So, all right. Okay, so that's just a summary of our Tourism Commission from the Chamber's perspective. Thank you very much for listening. Here to take any questions if you have any. Otherwise, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Is there questions?
Just gonna, you mentioned it briefly when you showed the advertising things, how another way to bring more tourists other than building more hotels or Airbnbs is to have more events in the winter. Yeah, I know you touched on
We don't have enough capacity. We have more capacity than we need in the wintertime. You can see just the graph, right? Wintertime it dips.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so if we could sell more hotel room in the winter, we'll get higher room tax dollars.
Yeah.
So we have some thoughts on how to do that as we will meet in the next Tourism Commission and discuss. Yes.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. All right, I'm gonna do all right. So we are going to do a little shuffling for the agenda here just to one of our closed sessions. We've got an opportunity to, which number is it here? Number 20, right? We're going to move number 20 up, but we're not going to go into closed session. We're just going to have the open discussion regarding that. And then we'll move the closed session back down like we did last week. So I'll read it and then we'll go in. So this number 20 is possible closed session per Wisconsin statute 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. And this is a lease agreement for child care facility at Main Street Apartments.
Okay, well, I will kick this off. So we signed a lease agreement as part of the North Point project to basically take control of the child care facility when built. The intention always was for us to find a provider to run that facility. And so for the last 12 to 18 months, well, before that, some time ago, we submitted an RFP, threw it out to the internet, the world, and asked for a provider. We closed that RFP, and from the respondents, one sort of has risen to the top, and we have been in the background working with them on details. And so I want to bring them forward at this time so that they can introduce themselves, and we will go ahead and then talk about the MOU. So we were going to do an MOU for the lease agreement because actually fully creating the lease agreement and attaching it to the sublease that we have with North Point is going to take some legal doing. We are not quite ready for that. So as always with MOUs, we want to make sure the deal in principle works for the council. But for this section up front here in tonight's meeting, we're going to have Megan Tully of VARC, a local nonprofit in our community, share a little bit about their organization and why they are interested in taking on this role.
If you can press the little person. There
Thank you.
go. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Nate, for that introduction. So my name is Megan Tully, and I serve as the Director of Strategy for VARC here in Viroqua. VARC is Vernon Area Rehabilitation Center. We're born in Viroqua and have been in Viroqua in the community for 50 years. In my role, I provide leadership and oversight for key organizational initiatives, including childcare operations. I work closely with our childcare director to ensure our programs are aligned with community needs, financial sustainability, and grounded in best practice for early childhood development. I'm happy to be here tonight to briefly share how our experience, mission, and leadership can support access to high-quality childcare in Viroqua. Slide, please.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Second.
So as Nate changes that, VARC has been a nonprofit leader in disability services for 50 years with a presence in 9 counties currently growing. We started here, just right here in Viroqua. We now have 14 locations across southern Wisconsin and continue to grow. Our roots are in employment and life skills programming for adults with disabilities, but over the years, we've expanded to include youth programming in 2016 and services for adults in early remission from substance use disorders in 2021. This history of innovation and responsiveness laid the foundation for our most recent expansion into early childhood care. In 2023, we opened our first licensed child care center, bringing our mission of growth, learning, and inclusivity to young children and families. Slide, please. In 2022, we decided to consolidate some of our programming in our La Crosse location, which led us to vacate a building that was previously used for youth programming. At the same time we were doing that, we connected with a local childcare provider who was being displaced from their space. Rather than letting that programming disappear, we saw an opportunity to integrate their services into VARC's model. So we were able to preserve that vital community asset while extending inclusive licensed childcare to children of all abilities. Slide, please. So that decision sparked the full development of our childcare program. We remodeled our La Crosse facility, navigated the licensing process, hired and trained staff, and opened our first center in 2023. We've successfully managed every phase of that from concept to compliance with a hands-on approach that prioritizes safety, quality, and inclusivity. We're confident in our ability to replicate that process in Viroqua and create something that truly serves the needs of local families. So those were just some pictures of the renovations that we went through at our other facility. At the heart of, if you want, thank you, Nate. At the heart of our successful launch is strong leadership. We have a director that is ready to fulfill that role for the new child care center here in Viroqua. Her name is Nicole Steinhorst. She brings over 8 years of experience as a lead teacher in a licensed center and currently serves as our assistant director at our La Crosse location. She holds a master's degree in therapeutic recreation and is a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. Her background equips her to lead inclusive, developmental, supportive environments for children of all abilities. So we're excited to have her ready to go and fulfill that role. So as you've heard tonight, VARC's mission and experience are deeply rooted in service, creating inclusive, high-quality programs that respond to real community needs. Expanding into childcare was a natural evolution of our work, and we're proud of that thoughtful, successful model that we've developed in La Crosse. So with our experienced leadership and proven ability to launch a licensed center, we're confident in our capacity to meet Viroqua's childcare needs here. We know that the city shares our commitment to supporting families and strengthening the local workforce. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to share our story. We're excited about the opportunity to work together on the new child care center.
Thank you, Megan. Does anybody have any
Questions?
questions? Seth?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. You just.
I'll start asking. So I've had people reach out and they're concerned. They want to know who these programs will be available to. So is it just residents of the apartment or the greater community at large?
Yeah, the intent is for the community.
Thank you.
Yes.
Also, how many children will this facility be able to house?
We're looking at licensing for 65, 73.
Keep going. I think I have more of these. I'm like truly excited that you're coming into this project because it's a very big need for our community, and I'm what a perfect fit for this project. So,
Thank you.
yeah, are the ages for the care? Sorry.
Yes, we're looking at ages 6 weeks to 6 years old.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Other questions? Steve?
When does how soon will you start enrolling folks? After
Well,
obviously after the MOU and all this is all sorted out.
Yep. MOU, lease agreement, completion of the physical space itself. There, once we can get occupancy, we'll go through the licensing process with Department of Children and Families. We don't have a tremendous amount of control of how long that will take, but we're projecting hopefully for October-ish opening time. But there's a lot of variables that we have some control over, but not entirely.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Steve? Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Megan.
Yes.
And
Thanks
look
so
forward
much,
to it.
Megan.
Thank
So, thanks. All right. Now we're gonna hop back up. Right? Well, that was it, Nate, on that one? Did you have it? All right. We're gonna hop back up to the top and jump right in here to number 6, which is operator license approvals.
Okay, there are 3 of them from Pizza Hut that were just pending the background checks.
They went through public.
Um,
I'm sorry.
Yep, they did go
Made
through
it
public safety.
Okay.
This is AJ, make a motion, we approve the operator licenses.
This is Seth, I second.
Okay, got a motion, a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item number 7, review and approval of Class B and Class C wine license for Wonder State Coffee.
Okay, yep, this was just one then for the Wonder State, and again, it did go through the public safety already. And I don't know if it was here. Everything I think was good to go for them.
Is this is not just a one-time thing then, like a picnic license? This is for all.
Correct, annual. They were just a little bit later getting in.
I make a motion, we approve the Class B beer and Class C wine license for Wonder State Coffee.
AJ, I'll second.
We got a motion, a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item number 8, review and approval of certified survey map for the Hanson Farm property.
Sorry, one pull. Let me get my bearings here. This was included as part of your packet. It did go through Plan Commission. I'll get the orientation here right in just a second, but essentially what we are doing at this time is seeking to CSM and separate, CSM being a certified survey map, of course, and separate what is generally referred to here as the commercial property within that development. The space to the north there, and this was put together by Veer Becker, who has been the engineers on the project. So they certainly had all the data and information necessary to put the CSM together. The property above here is essentially the public right-of-way that will be reserved for the new east-west street that will come off of Main Street and connect to Chicago Avenue, generally in line with where the Walmart entrance is at. Sarah Granger is somewhere back there and has been involved on it. We are currently in the process of communicating with the DOT on how they would prefer us to create restrictions for access on this, and maybe Sarah can tell us a little bit more.
Well, the short of it is that creating a subdivision within the city triggers on a highway, state or federal, triggers the DOT involvement with it. And in order to do that, they would create a setback distance, which is what you see, that the line on the right-hand side there, which would be the east side. And we've agreed there's stipulations that they place. Basically, it's that if they ever need it, they need to be able to use it. So they wouldn't like want a building to be placed there, but you could use it as a parking lot or whatnot. When we originally brought this forward, it was a part of the plat, and they caught that and said, you know, you need to do that. And then because we were approaching this differently with the CSM for all the changes that we've been doing lately, they said, okay, well, you need to know this, but the city can't place a DOT restriction on a parcel because we're not the DOT. But then there's some complication about whether we place it on and how they then take on that setback. So long story short, we'll be working through that, but there'll be some setback restriction on the parcel.
Thank you, Sarah.
Is that 50 feet from the center of roadway, or is?
No,
50
that's
feet
actually
from
like
parcel?
the edge of the road. Which is why it kind of swerves. That's just the way that the right of way is on Main Street there. It's stormwater related.
So just for additional context on this, Sarah had mentioned that originally we had shown a preliminary subdivision plat whereby lot 2 was separated into a number of additional lots. I think it was somewhere in the range of 24 to 27 in total, and those accounted for all the different residential parcels that would be created. We still, of course, intend to do that, but given the delay being caused by the landfill and the mediation of said landfill, we thought it would be better for the time being to simply handle this through a CSM. As we discussed at a previous meeting, actually 2 previous meetings, we are interested in selling that commercial property. And in order for us to sell that commercial property and transfer title, it needs to be a separate parcel, right? So that's where Sarah was explaining that even though we're in this very moment not doing a subdivision plat, the DOT knows that at some point in the near future we will be, and certainly we don't want this to seem to them as some sort of end around to avoid access restrictions. This is simply a way for us to separate the property at this point. And we decided not to do the full subdivision plat at this point because doing so before we're absolutely sure that it will be a subdivision would be not very prudent. And you can see from a later agenda item that when subdivision plats are created and then not followed through on, it creates historical complications for at the register of deeds, and therefore for us to sort of untangle, which has been quite the saga. So anyway, that's just a little bit of reasoning why we're at this point right now. It has come through Plan Commission with their approval, and if you do approve tonight, again, I would just have it be contingent on final direction from DOT and approval by Sarah of that direction.
Thanks, Nate and Sarah. Questions? We're looking for a motion to approve.
Does AJ make a motion that we approve the certified survey map for Hanson Farm project or the property for with the DOT approval?
I'll second that motion.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Item number 9, review and approval of resolution regarding, providing for the sale of approximately 2 $2.5 million general obligation promissory notes, series 2025B.
At the previous meeting, we had discussed borrowing for this year in a number of projects that are in progress and that we will hope to be in progress with the new capital improvement plan that is still itself in progress. Tonight, we have Sean Lenz from Ellers with us. Last time, I think we had Josh Lowe, and Sean is here to walk us through that. Just as a reminder, at the last meeting, there was discussion about how much to borrow, and it was the council's decision at this time to set an amount at $2.5 million. From that will be deducted the cost of issuance, and anything remaining from that will be used towards capital projects. And there was a number that we have to move forward with, things like landfill mitigation, the salt shed, which has already been approved, Center Avenue, which has already been approved. And I think there was maybe one more, reimbursement for the last part of the dump truck that has been purchased and is actually in our possession at this point. And the remainder of which will be spent based on the council's wishes in reviewing the capital improvement plan. So again, just a reminder about how we got to this point. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Sean. If Sean can hear us okay, I'm going to have him walk you through the borrowing resolution and some other materials we have queued up.
Nate, yes, can you hear me okay?
We need you just a little bit louder, Sean.
Okay. Let me know if it's not coming through. I'll try to speak up, but if it's not coming through real clear, please let me know. Nate, should I share my screen or do you want to bring up the pre-sale report there?
Yep, I'll go ahead and bring up the pre-sale report now.
Okay. And given the introduction that you provided, I think if you go to Exhibit 1, that would be a real good place to start. Okay. And Nate, if you can scroll to the bottom of the page, I'll start there. Per what Nate just laid out for the council, and good evening to everyone. Nice to be with you again. As Nate talked about, the borrowing amount for the 2025 projects would be $2.5 million. And when you look at the uses section, you can see the amount that is going to really go to 3 different project areas. Tax increment district number 6, $845,000. Tax increment district number 7, $700,000. And project construction fund, $847,000. That would be more of what we would describe as general fund capital improvement projects that are paid back by the normal debt levy of the city. The other two, TID 6 and TID 7, would be repaid over time by those special taxing districts and revenues from those districts. Nate, if you could scroll to the top of the page. So what we finalized with Nate after the council's decision on the $2.5 million was a repayment schedule over the next 20 years. The issue would be bid with a 20-year repayment term. The first 8 years of the 20 years would not be prepayable, but the final 12 years of the 20 could be prepaid at any time at the council's behest. So we would plan to lock into rates for 20 years, but if starting in year 8 or later, there were lower interest rates available, or if the city had available funds, you could make prepayments in whole or in part on the issue. So what you see here is a projection of the repayment of the issue over the next 20 years using interest rates that are about 0.5% above what we're seeing in the current market right now for this type of debt issue. Okay. Nate, if you could go to the next exhibit. So as I'd mentioned, a part of this issue would be repaid with the tax levy of the city. And what you see here in the darker orange color is the existing principal and interest on debt that the city has issued in the past. And then on top of that, in more of the lighter orange color, is the addition of the tax levy portion of the new debt on top of the existing levy portion that the city already has. So you can see the impact going forward. There'll be an increase in the total debt levy for the city with the 2026 budget and beyond. And we have added this proposed new issue, the portion that is going to be paid back by the levy, to the existing debt. This chart doesn't show any future obligations or any debt issues that the city might have in the future, but you'll notice that over time, the annual payments as they're set up now are gradually falling. And Nate had referenced the CIP. We continue to work with Nate and Lori on building models to include the impact of future projects as we move forward. But you can see we're positioned reasonably well in that we do have a downward sloped debt levy over time. Okay. Nate, if we go to the next exhibit. Thank you. So this exhibit is a look at the city's general obligation borrowing capacity. The line at the top is representative of the total general obligation borrowing capacity under state law. The number is calculated based on 5% of the equalized value of the city. You can see it's about 22+ million currently. And then on the bottom of the page, the kind of lighter tan color, that is the existing debt before the proposed new issue. And then the green color would be the proposed new issue. So over time, you can see we're projecting we'd be up at about 15 million in outstanding general obligation debt with this new issue. But then as we pay the debt back over time, you can see that capacity becomes larger and larger as we repay existing debt. Okay, we can go to the next exhibit. I apologize, these last two, there's lots of numbers on these, but what we're wanted to just update the council is, as I'd mentioned before, a portion of the issue is to be paid back by revenues from tax increment district number 6 and tax increment district number 7. TID number 6, as you can see, we've got a number of obligations already paid by the revenues from this district. And we've added on the far right side, Nate's scrolling over there right now. There we go, the 2025 issue. There's about 70 to 75,000 a year in principal and interest expected to be paid back from revenues from TID number 6. And Nate, if you can scroll over to the cumulative balance, you can see that we are strongly positioned right now to be able to manage this additional debt to TID 6. The other thing I would mention is the TID does have some time left to do additional projects. So we don't know exactly what's in the future, but if there was no additional projects, it's very likely we'd be able to prepay these expenditures early. But I know that the city is considering other opportunities in TID 6 to keep improving and redeveloping in Viroqua. But as you can see, the cumulative balance is strong positive right now. And Nate, if we could go to that last exhibit. This TID 7 forecast is more preliminary than the TID 6 in that you'll see on the left side of the page here, preliminary additional development that is expected to occur in the Hanson Farm area, the area you just talked about prior to our agenda item for tonight. And so you can see there's a lot of potential additional development that Nate and city staff are working on development agreements for. And then as he did with the previous exhibit, as you scroll to the right, you will see additional expenditures and investments that have been made in the TID number 7, and the repayment of those expenditures, including the 2025B TID 7 portion, which is kind of in that lighter green. And if you scroll to the far right, we've got a gradual expectation that with the development in the Hanson Farms, that we will see an ongoing long-term positive cash flow in this district. We, at this point, though, we do know that there's likelihood to be an additional infrastructure investment that's necessary to help with the residential development that's being talked about. So that cumulative cash balance of 5.5 million, in order to get that, we will have to make an additional development or additional investment. And I think preliminary numbers are in about the 4 million range, I think, Nate, at this point, in terms of street sewer, water, storm sewer investment out there. But that will be necessary in order to achieve the development value that you saw on the other side of the exhibit, the residential development over time. So TID 7 is off to a very good start. We're continuing to monitor this cash flow, and there'll be more to come as Hanson Farms more becomes finalized on that. But I wanted to give you a sense that the TID is off to a good start and has lots of potential. And you can see the additional new debt portion charged to this special fund of the city. So what would be needed tonight to move the process forward? And maybe, Nate, you could go to the timeline, which I think was the last part of the text portion of the pre-sale report. There we go. Tonight was a review by the council and a chance to answer any questions or additional thoughts that the council might have. We are working right now with city staff on the official statement. We've got a draft of that completed. We have a call tomorrow with Standard & Poor's about the city's bond rating. And the plan is to get the official statement circulated late this week, early next week at the latest, with a plan to take bids the morning of July 8th and bring those results for review by the city council that evening. And assuming all that process moves forward as planned, we would expect to close on the issue, and the city would have funds from the $2.5 million financing to apply to expenditures that are ongoing on the various projects that are included and the projects that Nate referred to earlier. So with that, Nate, I guess I'd turn it back to you for any other final thoughts on it, and also to any questions of the mayor or the council.
Thank you, Sean. I'll start with questions to the mayor and council. Anything?
Got nothing. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
The only other thing I'll show is just a reminder of what we looked at the last meeting. You'll see here that the items at the top, dump truck body, salt shed, Center Avenue, an allocation for the landfill remediation are the bulk of this issuance at this time, totaling somewhere in the range of 1.8 million. The addition of that, again, about 700,000, is roughly allocated in this way. This is the way we talked about it at a previous meeting. This is the way I've submitted the information to Ellers and Quarles, and this is the way it's going to show up on that pre-sale report, which is why it says so much from TID 6, so much from TID 7, so much to the general fund. And the council still has some decisions to make at exactly which projects are going to be funded by this, either this year or next year, using these debt proceeds. So you'll see there, I do have the allocation for the Eckerd Playground that was called out specifically because this is a project that we know needs to be addressed. And so there is an allowance for that in there from TID 6, and then a number of other more miscellaneous categories to be further defined. Go ahead.
Just popped in my head. The 4 million for the investment for the infrastructure. Is that another borrowing process that we have to go through? And
Correct.
if so, why aren't we doing it with this borrowing?
So two things. One is we are not prepared to make that borrowing at this time because we want to make dead sure we know what is going on with the landfill before we take that sort of leap financially. And the developers feel the same way. It's like, before they sign on the dotted line to purchase the land and start putting their own investment to it, let's all make sure that we know exactly what's going on with that and that it's mitigated appropriately. Two is that, and Sean can help me out a little bit here, is that it has to be a different type of borrowing given its nature, to put it somewhat simply. And so we do intend to do that secondary borrowing, $4 million area, at a later point this year.
I've never been to a council meeting before.
We can't take comments from the audience. Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
Sean, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. The resolution begins the process, and as I'd mentioned, or I should say, yes, just one last final thought, Nate, is that the bids would be taken the morning of the 8th, and at that point, it would be review of the council before anything is absolutely locked in. So just to let you know that, as we've done with bond sales in the past, we'll get those bids in the morning. We'll talk with you about them in the evening, and then you'll take a final vote on the issue at that point.
Thanks, Sean.
So Sean, do you want to touch base on the resolution real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, Nate. So the resolution is just direction, formal direction from the council for us to proceed with the finalization of the official statement, and then sets out the terms of the note for sale on July 8th. It also is a declaration of intent to reimburse any funds and expenses that the city has already incurred for projects that are on the list to be financed this year. So again, it starts the process, but by the approval of the council, it doesn't lock you into accepting a bid at this time. It just directs us and Quarles and Brady to start the process leading up to that July 8th sale.
Anything else?
No, we would at this point be looking for
One question, do we foresee any other things we need to pay for before we sign off on 2.5 million? I know the maintenance truck is
correct,
done.
So
Do we if we want to edit this into like a 3 million, this is time, right?
So it's a great question. Within that amount of money, there is roughly, and again, these are rough, $123,000 allocated towards other public work projects other than what's on here. Again, this is just thrown at the wall sort of stuff, so the council will have the ability to make that decision. Do we need to add another $500,000 to pay for a $46,000 truck? Probably not. If there were other things that were immediately on the horizon that were emergent since we last talked about this, I would certainly make you aware of that. But at this time, the public works truck is probably the only example of something that's really cropped up of a capital nature recently.
Other questions? Now we're looking for a motion.
Cindy, I'll make a motion. We approve the resolution providing for the sale of approximately $2.5 million general obligation promissory notes, series 2025B.
This is Todd. I second Cindy's motion.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Do a roll call.
Seth,
Aye.
AJ,
Aye.
Ted Kirking,
Aye.
Emma. Aye. Ted Spade,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to item number 10, which is review and approval of Quarles engagement letter for Geo Promissory Notes Series 2025B.
Sean, did you want to give a little bit of background on this as well, as long as we have you here?
Yeah, no problem, Nate. So Quarles is the bond attorney for the city, and they have been for some time now. Their role in the financing is to provide an opinion that the debt issuance follows state law and federal law to issue tax exempt financing for these projects. And so their opinion is very important to those who bid on these issues to ensure that what they're buying is validly issued under state law and also is tax exempt, which is the reason the city is able to get the best and lowest interest rates available on this type of financing. So they're very vital to the overall transaction. And what they typically do is similar to what Ellers does. They provide a scope of services to the city in the form of this letter that they provide. And it has been the past practice of the city to have the council approve this as we go through the issuance process. So that's really what you're seeing here tonight is their scope of work and engagement letter. And they also have a not to exceed cost amount that we built into the issue. The expenses related to the issue are part of the borrowing itself. So it's not coming from your general fund savings, but it's paid out of the proceeds of the issue itself. So that's the scope of what the letter includes.
Thank you, Sean, for that. So we would be, as part of this bond issuance, looking for an approval of the engagement letter that was included as part of your council packet.
This is Todd. I move approval of Quarles engagement letter for the Geo Promissory Notes Series 2025B.
This is Seth. I'd second the motion.
Get a motion, a second. Any other questions?
I missed, how much was it? Did you say we don't know for sure yet?
So Sean, the cost not to exceed was set at, I can look for it here.
Yeah, I think there's two components to the role. The other role, this is a good reminder that the other service that they provide as part of this, the bond counsel is the one I described. The other service, there they are. I see the costs are on the screen now. The other service is what we call disclosure counsel. Over the years, the Securities and Exchange Commission has become much more diligent on offering statements that are put out to bidders on these sales, on these sort of sales of debt, to make sure that they are as accurate and complete as possible, so that there's no challenge to those documents in the future. And that's called the disclosure counsel services. So those are the two roles, bond counsel and disclosure counsel. And I think on the screen there, you can see that the cost, the 16.2 and the 10,530. So the scope of work includes both of those components.
Thank you.
Cindy. All right, we've got a motion, a second. Any other questions? Do a roll call.
Andrew,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Right.
Emma. Aye. Todd Spade,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to item 11, which is review and approval of proposal from Quarles for safe drinking water and clean water loan programs with the Wisconsin DNR. This is you, Sarah.
So I'm gonna switch. Make
Okay, so this is more of the same idea. This is related to our Center Avenue project. We have low interest loans that we have obtained from the DNR. So they do separate them into water and sewer. So this one would be, there would be one agreement for the water and one agreement for the sewer. So the approximate loan is 1.138 million, but that's going to be adjusted. You'll see that they're just finalizing our numbers. So it'll be just slightly less than that. But this is for our bond counsel. We don't have quite as much complexity as the last issuance because we know who's getting the bond, but they still have to go through that process. So for the water one, they're looking at $15,550 for the bond council. They did say that if we close our water and sewer bond on the same day, which is anticipated, we will have a reduction of $1,000 on each. Which I'll get to the next one. I think they're in the same line, right? Nate, I should just keep on trucking. Okay, so then, of course, because we do everything twice when it comes to water and sewer, this is for the sewer. The sewer one you'll notice is significantly lower. The total loan amount will be just under, well, it's 400 and I believe 450,000. Again, this one, we just have less expenses with sewer, but it also is because we were able to obtain what they call principal forgiveness, which is their way of saying a grant. And so approximately 40% is going to be a grant. So that's why you see a lower number. And this is slightly lower fee when I scroll to the right section. So this one is for 12,300, and the same deal as I mentioned before applies, where they will reduce it by $1,000 if the closing occurs on the same day. So this came forward from Public Works and is a requirement of our funding.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions? We'll be looking for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the proposal from Corals for safe drinking water and clean water loan programs of WDNR.
Sage, I'll second.
Got a motion, a second. Any other discussion?
I think being a bond attorney would be a good idea. As Sarah
Right?
had-
Seems like a lucrative
I suggest
profession.
that to my daughter, but
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Ted Kirking.
Aye.
Emma.
Aye.
Ted Spath.
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Crystal.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Seth.
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
All right, item number 12, discussion with possible action on street pickup replacement.
Okay, so for those that were at Public Works, you heard the story of how our pickup is out of commission. It is from 2008. Our Chevy, it has seen better days, and I won't spend the time going through it. The pictures spoke for themselves. They were in pretty rough shape, but our mechanic has pulled it off the road. He said, "You're not driving that thing anymore. It's not safe, and I can't have you doing that." So it came up suddenly. We had it originally as a part of the capital improvement plan, and we didn't think we were going to run out of time, but we've run out of time. So the request is to be able to move forward with purchasing a pickup truck. So at the Public Works Committee, we had two proposals from Sleepy Hollow. And so we went out and did look further. So I have a couple bids for you to look at least to summarize here. I won't go into too much detail here. Hold on, I'll give you a better zoom. Hopefully. Woo, sometimes too much. Okay. So we ended up having 4 vehicles that were proposed. So we did get Phil back out of, oh gosh, where are they? That was out of, yep, thank you. And then Peschke's out of La Crosse, looking at a similar vehicle. So the one that we were looking at from Sleepy Hollow, which is the lowest cost one here, is the one that we were trying to find some comparables with. This is a used vehicle, but it had very low mileage, and we have a good part of the warranties left that Sleepy Hollow said that would carry through. The other one that they had, just to give us some options, was a 2005 Ram. It was slightly more from Sleepy Hollow, but this is with the trade-in. I didn't list that there. I apologize, but it didn't have all of the, like, it's ready to go more or less, that the 2024 had. So we looked for similar vehicles. And so Philback had something close. They were at 46,664. Again, it didn't have like the bed liner, and then the title work is included in the cost at Sleepy Hollow. And then the La Crosse, they just didn't have a vehicle that was comparable on lot. So they gave us a 2026 option, which obviously was more. So I think, we've done some looking. We had made assumptions that Sleepy Hollow would be the lowest cost option, and also gives us good service locally, but now we know that it does make sense to purchase it from them. So I can give you a little bit more detail. I can give you some like the spec sheet about what the truck was, but essentially it's coming to us for $46,355.50. They're going to allow $1,000 trade-in, and well, I would say that's a good deal for us considering the condition of the truck. Mark said, "I'm taking the tires off; they're still in good shape, and they don't care." So I thought that was a pretty good indication of the condition of the vehicle. And then we obviously have some warranties still left, so. That's what we're looking for, approval to have this, to purchase this truck. It is currently on hold, and we told them we would get back to them tomorrow. They've held it for us for a week already, so.
This is John. I'd move we buy the truck from Sleepy.
Todd, I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So just real quick, as a point of information is, it's important to note that this project has not been yet approved as part of the capital improvement project plan. It was within that category that I showed earlier. And so if you are doing this, which again, I'm not disagreeing with, but just I want to make it known that you are moving this project forward, and so that the pot of money that you have to play with when it comes to debt proceeds, this will be deducted from that. Okay. So I just, again, want to make that known.
Can I just ask a question? Is there a reason why we only looked at Dodge versus the other major?
Yeah. So we looked at all of the options that they had in Sleepy Hollow lots here. And then because that one was the one that they had available that fit the bill, we just tried to look for comparable bids.
Regular cabs are really hard to find is what we found. And that used one, I think it only has 800 miles on it. If so, it's not really, they broke it in a little bit.
Sure, I was just wanting
But yes,
everybody else to know.
originally we spread our options wider, but we just ended up with that, and we wanted to make sure we were apples to apples, so to speak.
Get it on. I appreciate you looking farther. At Public Works, I'd brought up the fact that they hadn't gone anywhere but Sleepy Hollow. So I appreciate that you checked with other people.
For sure.
All right. Do we have a? Yeah. Yeah, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Do we need to know which truck that we're buying? Is it that one that?
Is it 2024?
Correct.
Roll call.
Emma. Aye. Todd Spade.
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Crystal.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Seth.
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
Todd Kirking.
Aye.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Item number 13, discussion with possible action on a resolution to vacate property adjacent to Bigley Park land.
Well, I'm hoping I get to tag team this with George, so you want to come up here, George? We've been working a lot on trying to get this settled, so we might as well give the full meal deal. I'll just give a little bit of background here. So obviously this was from the land sale that we were looking at from Daryl Skrupke. And when we went to go ahead and make the sale or get the documents together for that, here, I'm trying to find you an image. There we go. We realized that we couldn't hand it over because we didn't own it. That's a problem. And the reason we didn't own it was that it was a road that was unvacated. And so that started a cascade of history research. You want to dive into that, George?
Well, the original plat of West County Edition was drawn in 1854 by hand. And our research started there. And probably about 12 to 15 hours later, we're here. Part of the problem is we didn't know what was vacated and what wasn't. If you look at the county GIS map, everything on there is listed as vacated. We thought that was, hey, easy peasy. We just have to vacate this one little section of what used to be known as DeLapp Street. And as you can see, Sarah has highlighted that one little short vertical section there. To the north of that was vacated in 1977 by Dave Jenkins for use with Parkview Manor. To the south of that was vacated, I think, in 1980, probably so the people that owned the house could have their driveway. The problem is if you go to search in the county records, it just doesn't say vacation of property. Some are listed as resolutions, some are listed as orders. There's really no rhyme or reason. And I had Gladys over there trying to help me find all of this stuff, and it's just really difficult to sort through it. So it's taken some time. And then Sarah and I talked to the county surveyor, Lawrence, who was very helpful in trying to help us sort through things, and said, well, if you're going to vacate that section, maybe you should vacate all the rest of these roads and alleys from 1854 that I don't know if they've ever been used as roads or alleys. So then we got in various discussions. Lawrence, they say they're already vacated. Well, it doesn't look like they're vacated. I can't find any documents. So of course, I had to go look for documents, and I found a couple of documents, but nothing that vacates that one long vertical road, which I believe used to be known as West Avenue. I don't know that it's ever been a road. And all the way to the west of that little subdivision there is a 22 link alley. Link, yeah. I mean, it's literally from 1854, handwritten. It's really hard to read. I think I need new glasses now. So in any event, that's where we stand. I tried as best I could to draft a resolution that would vacate the highlighted portions of the unused roads and alleys in the West County edition while preserving whatever right-of-way of West South Street is attached, because we don't want to vacate part of the road by vacating part of the road that we use, so we can vacate part of roads that aren't really roads. So that's where we stand. It's taken some time. We've gone through a number of variations and researching. And like I said, I opened books that probably haven't been opened in 100 years trying to find this stuff. So.
Well, that was a stickler was Lawrence wanting to see the record of the vacation being made, which was we ended up talking to the Historic Society, but was not able to come to it. So that would be one thing to note, I guess, is that you feel confident in the vacation of the 1868 version.
It's the 1854 version.
Oh, sorry. Whatever it is.
Yeah, yes, I do. The only question is that east-west street alley, it's not really defined. It's listed in the 1896 plat map as vacated. But I can't find the handwritten document vacating them. But my opinion is whoever drew that map in 1896 has a lot better idea of what happened before 1896, between 1854 and 1896 than we ever will. So if they say it's vacated, I think it's vacated.
And to add to complications, it was a part of county land at one point, then became city land. So there was this, yeah, lots of fun. But you have a resolution for us to act on.
Yes.
Appreciate all the work.
I'm curious, George, is that the only problem areas in town, or?
No.
But it's the only one we're going to deal with
Well,
right
we
now.
just had one last year when we found out that Main Street was in the wrong spot for the apartment building. And
Right.
that's when I first asked Lawrence, does this happen all over town? And he said, yes. And I ended the conversation.
Wow.
So we take them as they come.
Yeah, his recommendation was exactly that. Like, if they come up, then you fix them. If you looked for them, this would be a full-time job.
So if we approve this resolution, then it moves on that he's going to get it. What's the next step after that?
Well, the way I understand it, there were two parcels of land that Mr. Skrupke was interested in. That highlighted portion that I was talking about vacating, once that's vacated, that will revert back to the city because it was all contained in that original plat and the city owns that land. The other parcel is what they call a gap parcel and there's no owner. The city doesn't own it. The last I talked to Lawrence about it, I think he explained the history. At some point in time, someone had a mortgage and they acquired that parcel, but the parcel wasn't part of the mortgage. So when they got foreclosed, the mortgage, they left and the bank took title to everything except that one little parcel that's just sitting there unowned. So I thought he said the county, he was going to talk to the county about doing a tax deed on it, but I said that's not my issue anymore. So I'm going to let that go. What would probably need to happen is once all that gets squared away, there would need to be probably a certified survey map done if he wanted to acquire both of those parcels once we can figure it out. But once it's vacated, then it's city property, not a public right of way, and you can do with it as you will. But it would need to be described as something.
I'll make the motion. We approve the resolution to vacate the property adjacent to Bigley Park land.
Sage, I'll second.
Got a motion, a second. Any other discussion? No, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks, George. Item 14 is, do you mind, Sarah, if we just take a quick little break?
You mean you don't want to get into a big, long conversation
Well,
right now?
it's short this
Yes.
year, so, but we're still gonna take a quick break, so. Yeah. All right, everybody, we're gonna take a 5 to 10 minute break and then we'll come back and do a few agenda items, then we're moving into closed session, so. All right, we are back. Thank you, everybody, for that. We are gonna hop back in here to item number 14, which is review and approval of the 2024 Consumer Confidence Report from Public Works.
All right. So every year we do two sort of annual summaries. One's for the water system, one's for the sewer. The sewer one we did last council meeting, that is the CMAR. This one is the CCR. This is our water system, and it basically goes through all of the water quality information about the waterworks. So this is posted, it's sent out to all the commercial, industrial, and institution customers, and then it's available online. It will be available online. Last year's is still up until we're done with our meeting. And it can be obtained from the office if somebody wants to know the information but doesn't have access to the internet. And then I would say all of this information is also on the DNR website. You can go to Public Water Systems and you can search for Viroqua and you can see every test result. I don't even know how far it goes back, like early 80s. All right. So first of all, it's, how you have an opportunity to have input about the water quality. That would be our Public Works meetings, which are regularly on the 1st and 2nd Tuesdays of the month, but obviously council is an option as well. So the 2nd and the last. And there's a whole bunch of information regarding health information. We are regulated through the DNR, through the Environmental Protection Agency, or vice versa, through the DNR from the Environmental Protection Agency. And then obviously there's some populations that have more vulnerability to water quality. And so they, need further information. So we have currently 3 water sources. So all 3 of them are groundwater wells. We do, our information that's in here is related. So they always call it contaminants, which is, I think, I feel a bit of a misnomer, a little bit of my pet peeve, because I think it gives an idea that somebody put something in the water and that's why it's there. So they call contaminants anything that's not H2O. And so if it has a limit, it's going to be listed here. So the things that we're looking for are microbial contaminants. That's something we're testing for on a regular basis. That would be your biggest concern if you wanted to have like a waterborne outbreak, right? This is an immediate concern if somebody was to have microbial contaminant. Then we also talk about inorganic contaminants. Pesticides and herbicides are tested as well. There's a whole slew of synthetic and volatile compounds that we test for. Radioactive contaminants, so that's like, again, generally naturally occurring in a groundwater formation. And within this, there's all sorts of different ways we talk about things, and I'll get to it when we look, but there's things like action levels, which is only a specific parameter that we look at like that. Most of the time, we're talking about an MCL, a maximum contaminant level. So when you hear the word like, oh, what's the limit? That's what they mean. That's what the limit is. And in some circumstances, they'll have an MCLG, which is your goal. So if for some reason there is a known risk, but there is, here it says allowable margin of safety, or just an ability to test to a certain level or to treat to a certain level, they'll give a goal as well. And then every compound has a different unit of measurement. Well, most compounds have different units of measurement. Okay, so if in this list, if the parameter had a measurement but wasn't tested last year, it'll say that in the columns below. And that'll be like this date column. So it'll still list it, but it'll list it from a previous sample. So our disinfection byproducts. Disinfection byproducts are tested within the distribution system. We basically find what would be like the longest residence time of the water after it's chlorinated, and we test at those sites. We have sites all over the city. And so this is where we test our disinfection byproducts. And essentially what it is, it's a combination of our chlorination interacting with organic matter in the water. So we're testing these, and in 2024, we had levels of HAAs. We found 3 with a limit and a goal of 60. THM, so that's haloacetic acids and trihalomethanes. We found at a level at 1.3, and the MCL, the limit is 80, but our goal is 0. I would say coming from a bunch of communities in Saskatchewan where the main source of water is surface water, these numbers were totally different. You were always getting close to the limit. Obviously, we try to minimize them, but in groundwater, we're lucky. We just don't have as much for the chlorine to react with. So in 2023, there was one sample at well 4 that had, or well 5 rather, that had found 1 parts per billion of arsenic. I will say I've not had any other tests like that, and that one had it was between the limit of detection and limit of quantification, which is a fancy way of saying you could detect something, but it was so low that you can't actually guarantee the number. And of course, that would be pretty much most of the things in the inorganic contaminant list comes from just our formation. So we had like barium. One that always comes up is fluoride. There's a lot of questions about fluoride. So the limit is 4, and we had a detect of 0.1 in 2023. This is not us adding fluoride. We do not add fluoride. Thank goodness we don't add fluoride, because that just makes things so much more complicated, even just for our side in terms of operators. But this is what's naturally occurring in the formation. Nitrates is always one of those big things that you look for to see. It's usually an indicator of groundwater contamination from surface practices, farming, septic tanks, that kind of thing. So we always have good numbers there. There was once upon a time we closed down well 2 because this number was not good. And it was because we saw well contamination from the surface, but that well has since been shut down. And we have a few other parameters. Well, we have detections of, and all of them are coming from the formation itself, the groundwater, the stone structure that it's in. So the next sort of grouping is our lead and copper sampling. I should have said, clarified before, all of what we just talked about for inorganic compounds are actually coming from our tests at the well. So like each well is tested for those. lead and copper samples are back to like we were with our butt disinfection byproducts. This is happening at the tap. And so this is a little different than our disinfection byproducts that are related to the length of time something is sitting in and chlorinated in the system, or for like how long the water sits in here. This one is, we look for the most likely source of lead or copper in the city. We do not have any lead services. We had lead goosenecks, which is a gooseneck is a 2-foot section of pipe that connects to the main, connected to galvanized water services. And the reason the galvanized metal is really hard and you need some flexibility because as the ground heaves, you need pipe to move, which is why you have that gooseneck. We have no goosenecks that are lead anymore, but we still have old galvanized lines in town. And so that's what our focus is. When you hear us talk about the lead service line grant that we're always trying to get, it's because the galvanized pipe can have had corrosion from many years ago onto the pipe. And so as the pipe ages and breaks down, which is what most of them, that era of galvanized lines are all really starting to break down, or disruption, just like if the pipe gets jostled, could have that like corrosion come off, and then that can be have high lead. The other big one that we do 20 samples, and we just don't really have the locations that like are just obvious, like that's got a lead pipe. So we're always looking for what is the next sort of best sampling location, worst case scenario. And what we do see is copper in people's homes that has lead solder. So that's always another thing to look for. It's not usually on the surface lines, it's coming like it's the plumbing that's in the house. And even though this is always the really big, like hard thing to deal with when it comes to lead services, is we do own the service between the water main and the curb stop, which is basically your property line. But from your property line into the house is the property owners, and from the property, like inside, is the property owner responsibility. But our sample has to be taken at the tap. So we're responsible to make sure that the limit is met, or this is an action level, but we don't have control of all of the situation, right? So it just makes it tricky. Nonetheless, we sample 20 samples every 3 years. So this is back in 2023. We always have decent copper results because we just have not a lot of corrosive water. Lead, we have a variety. And so what they use is an action level. So they have a 90th percentile, and that's where you look at your action level. So the action level is 15. And we had varying results from 0 to 5.41. And I believe, so 4.42 was the 90th percentile. I believe there was 5 samples that had any detect. So all of those lead samples, we communicate with the homeowner. Anything that got a result, I talk to them about like what in your home may be the cause. Do you have copper? Is it lead solder? Is it a fixture and things like that? So from there, the homeowners get to make a choice about what they do with that information. Okay. The second last column is radioactive contaminants. Again, these are just a part of the natural deposits of our formation of our aquifer. This is the one that we are work on all the time. So our deep aquifer does have a tendency to have radium and the alpha, like the gross alpha radioactive contaminants that come up. And so the limit is 5 for the combined radium. So that's 2 different isotopes. And what we've been working on is, excuse me, slid over too far. How do I get rid of you? I don't even know there we go. So what we've been trying to do is with our well 5 and well 6, we find that if we don't keep the natural bacteria in the well in check, it decides that it's just having a party and it starts mining things out of the formation. And then it's like, I don't want this part. And it discharges it into the water. And then we have a higher level. So that's when you hear we talk about well treatments and we're controlling the microorganisms. That's why we're doing it. And I would say we have I used to call him a mad scientist, a very smart engineer that we work with that helps us do this at the source, right? So the other option is to just let it go. and use a filter and continually have to treat it. But then you're not really addressing the problem. You're just kind of trying to take it out after it's been created, and it just continues to increase. All right, so the last column or category is our unregulated contaminant monitoring. And so this is the EPA has a list of contaminants that they are looking to regulate. They're not regulating them yet. And they're trying to find out where in our systems we have, like out of the nation, where they have it and what levels they are. So this year we had 29 forms of PFAS. And I will say we don't have PFAS on the list here because we've tested it and it's 0. So if it doesn't show up, it doesn't show up on this list. But we test, I believe it's 10 PFAS already, which we've never had to detect for. Then we did this additional 29, which we never had any detect for. And the same thing with lithium. And we did all 3 wells in May and November of this year. So we also have in this information in the CCR about lead, because there are ways to control it. So say you are in a home that you did find lead and you aren't able to take it out immediately, things like not using the first water of the day, right? So you don't want water that's sitting in your pipe for a long time. You want to be able to flush that water out because that's the water's touching the pipe and that lead is leaching into it. So it's best if you have water that is like not your first flush. And then they just talk about different ways that you might find it and things that you should not be using it for, like baby formula, that kind of thing. And we have a fancy QR code on here, which will be on the website, which takes us to our lead service line inventory. So you can see every service line in the entire city and the history of it. There are still a few that are unknown, which we're working on narrowing down bit by bit, but we are, I would say, under 300 unknowns in the entire system of over 2,000 services. So, and the ones that we left as unknowns were the ones that we had the least amount of concern with. We had the most confidence that it wasn't going to be an issue. So we just may not have the full record, but we know that what the date of installation would lead us to believe there would be no lead there. So I'm happy to answer more questions about it, but that's your consumer confidence report.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
Anybody have any
Appreciate the
questions? Sorry, Seth. Any other?
So when you take the samples from the taps, do you run the water for a little bit, or do you just take it right as you turn it on? Does it make any difference?
Yeah, they actually give us a fairly large container to take the lead sampling. But yeah, we would take it first flush because they always want the first flush.
Okay.
But if we did find stuff, we've done this recently. We had somebody call in and said their child ended up having like lead levels. They didn't think it was the water, but they wanted to make sure. They had an older home. And so there's ways where we can time the test. So like the first flush is right away is probably the faucet. Whereas if you wait a little bit, 30 seconds, it might be what's the internal plumbing is. And if you give it more time, it's probably what the service is. So we can try to help like narrow it down a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other questions? We need a motion to approve this. Is that correct, Sarah?
Yeah,
Yep.
you should approve it.
This is Crystal, and I would move approval of the 2024 Consumer Confidence Report, or the CCR.
Cindy, I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Thank you, Sarah. That was good briefing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank
Wow.
all the awesome water operators we have too.
Yeah, our street
Yes.
department, our utilities, yep.
For sure. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Item number 15, review and approval of the 2026 budget process.
Just need a second to switch gears here, folks. Well, for those of you who thought we just got done with the budget process,
It's ongoing.
we're going right back in, and every year it seems like we get going a little bit sooner. So what is on the screen for you is the updated draft of the budget creation process. I bring this to you every year just to make sure that the approach to the budget and the budget creation is still within your wishes essentially and on how you would like to proceed. And so I'll walk through it just quickly. For those of you who are on the budget team, you probably very much remember, but essentially we're going to start in the month of of July. I'm going to start on the second line. We're going to walk right into assigning the budget team and providing overall budget goals for the city. I will come forward with some ideas, but essentially what we're looking at right from the bat is, what is the council thinking? What are some goals that you have on mind? What are some things you want to target, right? Bring those to the meeting on the 8th of July, and we'll also assign the budget team. This is a group of 2 individuals. Typically that is usually the finance chair as well as another council member. The mayor and myself, who serve as sort of the budget team. We work with the department heads and we work on crafting the budget once we receive drafts from the department heads. And then we'll also ask finance to sort of review the department budget for non-committee entities during that time to sort of give direction for some of the things that aren't covered by Public Safety Committee, Park and Rec Committee, or Public Works Committee. I think I got them all: Park and Rec, Public Works, Public Safety. Over the course of that month of July through early August, we'll also ask all the committees to weigh in and give direction, goals, overarching principles that they would direct their department heads to think about when crafting a draft budget, right? Do they want to prioritize this over that going forward? That way the department head goes into the budgeting process having the will of the elected officials in the back of their mind. And then from there, the budget creation process runs from July through essentially September, where the members of the budget team are getting together once per week, typically for 2 to 3 hours to really take all that information, crunch it, understand it, go have some back and forth with the department heads as needed, and really to sort of synthesize the budget into a workable draft that meets the boundaries of levy limits, hopefully trying to meet expenditure restraint, and other items. You'll see right here in the middle of that section, there is the presentation of draft budgets with public input opportunity. This has been probably the 3rd year or 4th year we've done this. We really want an opportunity for the department heads to talk directly to the budget team members, explain their budget, have some back and forth, ask questions, and do it within the purview of the public so that public can see the budget process in action, and that the public themselves can provide input right within that process. So we're really trying to make it transparent as well as participatory. And that we have some dates assembled. Those are long nights. We can talk about cutting those down a little bit, but as a key part of the process for, again, transparency and participation, we try to make that, we try not to cut ourselves short on time. And then from there, we're looking at having a draft budget towards the end of September, having that draft budget reviewed by the committees once again, so that the committees can say, hey, great job, budget team, but here's where you missed, here's where you succeeded, here's where we would like to see changes. Again, another opportunity, the public can come to those meetings and make comments to urge those committees to consider certain changes. And then from there, you're in sort of the final approval process once you get to the very end of September, early October. There is a little cushion in there for another meeting with City Council if needed. I will say that this timeline overall has not been vetted by one Lori Paul Hamus, who typically does a good job of making sure all the timelines sync up properly, especially when you get towards the end, when you have to hit public hearings and the required notices that come along with that, as well as the deadlines to submit things to Vernon County. So overall, again, this is just a reiteration of what budget process we've used in the past. It's fairly robust, does offer opportunities for participation, and it spends a lot of time to really be diligent about our decision making. So I put this back up here again. If there's anything the council would like to approach differently, we can start the discussion on that tonight. If we need more time to think through any changes, we can certainly bring it up at a next council meeting.
Thanks, Nate. I think it looks good. Any questions or thoughts? Not, you want to?
No, I think it's a nice process.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
So you want to go ahead and just formally adopt the process? I can't recall what we.
Yep, I would just look for approval of the process. The one thing I would think about is just do be prepared, and I will send this out after the meeting. Do be prepared at the next council meeting that we are coming here to discuss budget goals as well as assigning 2 individuals to the budget team. So we're going to be looking for volunteers, and then if not volunteers, we will be conscripting, hopefully willfully, to be a part of that team. So think about the dates and whether you can make commitments and would like to put your hat in that ring. It is an important team that really digs through that. It is a hefty commitment in the middle of the year, but a lot of work, good work gets done. So.
Thank you.
Nate, just as an aside, I'll be on vacation that week, but I'm going to try to be online for the next meeting on July 8th, is it? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I guess we'd look for a motion to approve this process.
This is Crystal, and I'll move the approval of the 2026 budget process.
Todd, I'll second the motion.
All right, got a motion, a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Item 16, discussion with possible action on property damage release for damage to traffic pole at Main and Decker on 9/26/2024.
So Lori had drafted this, she had been working on this claim since September, but this is one where it was 2 vehicles at the corner of Main and Decker, and one of our traffic signals was hit again. So they were able to use a used pole, and the cost was $22.75. Our insurance deductible is $10,000. So that's why she sent an invoice for this amount to the person that caused the accident, who turned it over to Progressive. And long story short is that person's property damage limit is only $10,000, and the other party involved, their damages were at like 88%, where ours was 12. So that's how Progressive used that 10,000 to pay out. So we would only be getting, out of the 2275, we would be getting 1203. So we're going to be out about 1,071. So Lori's recommendation is to accept this release, and that is what she has, a property damage release here, because the only other recourse is to take them to small claims. And that's probably not going to happen.
Thank you. I agree. Lori and I talked about this before she left, and it of the same opinion. I think it would cost us more in the end, even if we were successful in getting it all. We'd end up spending more than that in staff time and attorney's fees and things. So we should just go ahead and accept that.
Yeah, and Lori's done a tremendous job trying to run this down. And again, she's been working on this on and off since September. And so there's a lot of staff time already devoted to this. And so while we hate to not receive what is due to the city and to the public, the chances plus the cost of pursuing it just doesn't seem like a prudent thing for us to do financially.
Right. So go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to make.
Perfect. I was going to ask for questions or a motion. Either one would be great.
This is Todd. I make a motion to sign the property damage release for the damage to the traffic pole on Main and Decker.
Is AJ, I'll second.
I've got a motion and a second. I think we're going to do a roll call on that one.
Todd Spaeth,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Emma. Aye.
All right, item number 17 is payment of the bills. It's up to you.
There's a couple different things I could just point out, like on the original bills. Lori just wanted to point out, and I mentioned this at finance, that annually this PCORI fee comes up. It has to do with the health insurance. It's specifically an IRS form requirement. So if you were looking through that and saw that pop up, that is something annual that we do. And then on page 4, you would see the total amount of the 23,000 for seal coating 3 of the city streets. And then on the last page, Cindy was involved in this. We had $540 that went towards recording 18 historic locations that were previously not recorded. So got everything kind of up to date there. And then it was previously approved, the pay request 1 for the Bath House Welcome Center project. So just pointing out that we did go ahead and pay that, and that's showing up there. On the additional bills, page 2, there's a section at the bottom that Fire Chief Burrows has submitted his bills. He has a grant. It's a 2025 FAP Funding Assistant Program. That's the name of it. And we already have the check. It's just these checks for the expenses need to be cut here by the end of July. So that's why you're seeing all those now. And then the only other thing on the last page is the payment to the Vernon County over 50. It's the first rental payment to Bethel Home under the Park and Rec.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills.
Auto second. Got a motion, a second. Any other discussion?
Just to comment that the Historic Preservation will pay the $540 out of their allotment for the registering of those.
That's good. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Cindy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Crystal?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Ted Kirking?
Aye.
Emma?
Aye.
Todd Spaeth?
Aye.
All right, our next 2 agenda items are both closed sessions, and in the interest of respecting the folks here's time, I'm gonna move item number 22, which is the second period for public comment, up. So folks, if they'd wish to make a comment, don't have to wait for us to get through our closed sessions. They're welcome to, but I don't know how long that's gonna take. So we're gonna move item 22 up, which is the second period for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, come up to the microphone, you push the little person, name, address, and again, we're gonna stick hard to the 3 minutes. We got a little over the last time, but watch me, and if I raise my hand, we're gonna.
Okay, my name is Marcy Jones and I live at 727 Garfield. As we were reviewing the $2.5 million loan, I did see that there was Eckhart Park was $375,000, and then there was an additional line right below it for GF and TID 6 for $120,000 for park. When we had the last Eckhart Park meeting, I thought we were told that it was a lot more than 375,000. So these numbers in my mind aren't meshing. Does anybody have any that can make it clearer for me?
Unfortunately, during public comment, the council cannot respond
Okay.
to discussion, but that'll be noted, and I'm sure we'd be happy to get you that information after the meeting
Perfect.
at some point.
It just
Yes.
didn't seem to jive for me. So thank you.
Anybody else?
My neighbor is traveling and she emailed this statement that she asked me to read. The statement is being read on behalf of Janice Palmer, 618 Northeast Avenue, who is traveling and cannot attend this meeting. Viroqua's greatest asset is its uniqueness. Our community creates an incredible sense of place, without which we would just be another small town. The Dragon Playground is integral to this sense of place. It is playful, creative, and memorable. As such, it is not only loved by the community, but draws visitors and new residents and serves as a symbol of Viroqua's uniqueness. There are several alternatives that would be far preferable to tearing down the current play structure and replacing it with the proposed design and materials. The current structure could be restored with fresh timbers. There could be a request for unique design proposals from local artists and local companies that incorporate tree trunks into beautiful structures. Locally, we could create a far more interesting and cost-effective structure that blends with the trees instead of cutting them down. We have talents, materials, and skills to design a magical structure that will preserve and enhance our sense of place, which contributes so much to the livability and economy of our community. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Anybody else?
This is Michael Brown, 703 Connor Street. Separate from the Eckhart Park playground plan, I also wanted to touch on the methane and landfill situation. I know like all citizens, I'm also very concerned about the situation. I really do appreciate the urgency and action that everyone has taken on here. I do see the discussion for the loan that we're looking to take on and have concerned about absorbing that entire amount. And I get that that's things that we need to do, but I also don't have a clear understanding of what alternative funding sources we have sought as a city. I know there are available funds out there, but I know that we're also acting very urgently to get things taken care of. And I will be following up with others to see if there are meeting minutes available to indicate what research has been done to figure out if there is funding available beyond taking out a loan and paying for it ourselves.
Thank you.
This is Krista Brown. We live at the same address, 703 Connor Street. I have a couple of things to say personally on the park to represent myself. I'm a designer, and I want to offer to all of you that we do not have to pause or actually slow down this process in order to embrace bringing in design solution to get a defined program for the playground and the park that will then make the process of engaging with contractors, doing an RFP process, et cetera, flow instead of feeling like a grind for everyone. So that's just my 2 cents in that scope of work. I also wanted to bring to council a couple of ideas that I've put out to other committees and to the fire chief, actually, because I'm working on the house that you all just approved the conditional use permit for with Abby Swasco, who has been rehabbing that property and making it into what was a 4-unit, but now has to be a 3-unit and is dealing with fire sprinklering, that we should be looking at other ways that we can be bolstering housing by having better policies and ordinances that can protect affordable housing. So like truth in sale of housing is something Minneapolis uses to just like document whether something was built to permit, to code, et cetera, in the right zone so that someone who's buying something really knows what they're getting. It's not an inspection that's done through real estate. This is something the city does. Then there's something else that Minneapolis does that's called the rent escrow program. If I'm a tenant and my landlord, I make a request to get something fixed, faucet, whatever it is, and my landlord doesn't do that within a certain amount of time, I can pay my rent into escrow to the city. And then the landlord has to repair, and then the rent can be paid out. That would help protect stewardship of properties here, but it would also help protect people who are like, hey, my housing is dilapidating unless I have like a fire and Chad comes in and goes, I'm locking this down. It's not protecting the people who are actually working in the services industries that the tourism is built on. We have to look at the whole system. So these are unique ways, and like I'm bringing those ideas. I also want to say to all of you, I know that there's a short-term rental ordinance being worked on. Please be mindful that anybody working on that should not have one. That's like just conflict of interest. And also anybody working on that should be looking at other ordinances where there's a resident version and then a non-resident. So if you're not in your primary residence using Airbnb, VRBO, et cetera, as they were intended, which is I'm away from the weekend, so now I can have someone stay here, then we should be making sure that the costs they're paying to become licensed aren't taking homes from our market that people need to live in order to work here, live here, get educated here. These are all 3 minutes timer going on. Thank you.
Sorry. Anybody else? Anybody online that would like to make a comment?
I think you're good, man.
All right, hearing none, we're gonna move on to item number 18, which is possible closed session for Wisconsin statute 1985-1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session, review and approval of development agreement with Felton Properties for commercial property development on the Hanson Farm property. With that, I take a motion to go to closed session.
CJ, make a motion, we go into closed session.
I got a motion in a second. Roll call, please.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Emma, Todd Spaeth,
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
All right,
Just
We'll
need
shut
one
everything
moment
down
while-
here.
I'm gonna let everybody back in.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We gotta finish this one, then we go back into the next one, so. No.
I'm on Arizona water.
Yeah, got it. What feels like Arizona in here.
Awesome.
Microphone's on, everybody's back in the room. We are out of.
Perfect. We're gonna move on to item number 19, which is reconvene an open session with possible action on items discussed during closed session.
This is Todd. I move to approve the development agreement with Felton Properties for the commercial property development on Hanson Farm.
Steve, second.
Got a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Do a roll call, I think. Yeah. Say that.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Emma. Aye. Todd Spade,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal.
Aye.
All right. With that, we'll move on to item number 20, which is possible closed session per Wisconsin Statute 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This in regards to a lease agreement for child care facility at Main Street Apartments.
Steve, I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any, we'll call.
Seth,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Todd
Aye.
Kirking, Emma. Aye. Todd Spade,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Steve's, all right, Steve's gonna get the door. We're, he's gotta go to the bathroom. All right.
The recording, video's on.
All right, we are back in open session. We're gonna move down to item number 21, which is to reconvene an open session with possible action on items discussed during closed session.
This is AJ. I make a motion to approve what was discussed in closed session.
Steve, second.
Do you want to specify that? what
Yeah,
it is?
I think for this one, we can specifically state we approve the memorandum of understanding with FARC for the childcare space.
So moved.
Yeah. There you go.
Still second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? We'll do a roll call on this one also.
Todd Kirking,
Aye.
Emma. Aye. Todd Spade, Cindy.
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Crystal,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Andrew.
Aye.
All right, item number 23 is adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Steve, second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
He wasn't gonna beat me on that one. Is this part of the year that's